Good evening. We are Lydia and Scott, and today we continue our Tuesday conversations and how to live through tough times. Our new name of the podcast is Coping with the capital P, Coping, Coping Life, becoming real life stories. And of course, on Tuesday, it will be a lot about us, not because we are better than others, not because we lived through more, but simply because we meet so many interesting people in our life. So, what do you think, Scott, about this agenda for today? Because I know that it's not fair, but you have no idea what we are going to talk about.
How do I feel about that? I just have to trust my bride that she won't drop
Okay,
a
you're
bomb
too
on me.
way too trustful. Well, don't trust too much, but I promise that I will never make you feel uncomfortable. I will never ask you questions that you might feel embarrassed. So I will put you under the spotlight. That is guaranteed.
Okay.
Absolutely. But at the same time, we will do it with humor. We will share our stories that might help people see themselves. So today, to be honest, Scott, I'm confused. Are you confused?
I lack clarity in any number of areas. Let's put it that way.
Well, let me narrow it down for you and for our listeners. So, again, we welcome you to our Coping Live, and we are becoming. It's all about becoming, not just coping,
Yes.
but becoming, because we can't cope every day, 625 days, 24/7. It's hard to live by prescription and follow the certain skill set. Life is unpredictable, uncertain, and that's why we just have to also, yes, using those coping skills, but living through, becoming. So we are Lydia and Scott, and we welcome you to our Tuesday night. So the reason I'm confused, I have to be honest. I'm
Do
very
tell. Tell,
confused
Lydia.
because last Sunday, what have you done last Sunday?
Oh my. Well, I celebrated Easter with uh, many dozens and dozens of fellow believers, celebrated the resurrection of the Lord. That's what I did this last Sunday. How about you?
Wonderful. Yes, I did too. But
But
I have to admit
hmm,
that though I did celebrate with all our wonderful people Easter, the real Easter for me did not come yet.
oh,
Yes.
how does that
So,
work?
well, you should know because there are two different calendars.
Yes.
And when we celebrate Easter here in Eastern Orthodox belief, also in all Eastern Orthodox countries like Russia, where I am from, so then it's not Easter yet. What happened
Mm,
last Sunday in Russia was Palm Sunday, or as we call it, Verbne Воскресенье, which is
mm.
Pussy Willow Sunday, which is strange, so strange. But so I don't know why, and I don't know what happens to my psyche and my body and my feelings and my emotions. But the truth is, I did not feel it yet. I was happy, I was celebrating, and the way it manifested that I was not ready yet was that I did not color any eggs. Did you have any eggs in the kitchen? Did you see
Uh,
any eggs?
the eggs were in the carton in the refrigerator.
Well, you have to admit that you probably, if you notice, I have two regular eggs, not colored, boiling on the stove
Right.
because I
Yes.
illustrated
Yeah.
my children's moment. Yes, okay. So, but yes, I did not dye or color any eggs. Wow, it's unheard of. People
Ah,
had egg hunt, people had eggs colored, people made Easter cake. I had not. You did not have any dessert. And why? Because Easter is on April 12th. For me, I don't know how does it work, but my body just does not give me that sense of, yes, Easter is here. So yes, we did exchange with my family. Christ is risen, but trust me, we will do it again. So does it make sense to you what I'm saying?
Well, because I have known you for some 22 years, I have celebrated Christmas and Easter twice every year.
Yes. Not every
And
year, not every year. It depends on the calendar, but yes, more
right,
often
right.
than not. Yeah.
But more often than not,
Yeah. Right.
and have also celebrated a very different kind of Christmas. And that, of course, is New Year's Eve
Yes,
with
correct.
Died Moroz, Father Frost. Ah,
Poor
so life
child,
with
poor
you
child.
is.
What you went through, only know those men who married people from different culture, or vice versa, who women who married men from a different culture. So, okay, let's leave aside our winter and Christmas and other holidays, but Easter. So, what do you do when you missed Easter? Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you about it today, we miss so much in our life, and it's sad, and it's really painful sometimes how everything suddenly is not happening, and we get frustrated. Like I am frustrated, I did not have my colored eggs. But something else what I think we can learn out of this Easter is like a second chance.
Hmm.
So we did not miss Easter. We celebrated it with all people around us, but we also got another chance. And that's why I think what matters today for our conversation, that it's a positive assurance that even if everything crashed, you can try again. You just should try again. And so again, we talk today about second chances. We will talk about our relationship in a minute. So if you follow us, be prepared. That would be some moment of revelation. And as I call it, a walking on eggshells. Bam, bam, bam. Oops, oops, oops. Crash, crash, crack, crack. This is what is going to happen. So in the relationship, it often happens. Am I right?
Oh, yes, yeah, that
Yes,
happens.
yes, yes. And in our case, it's nothing about having an argument, or maybe it's about money, or it's about not telling the truth. In this
Mhm.
particular case, it's actually very literal. So let's talk about eggshells, because it is
Mm,
about. Did you start remembering now?
I do remember that all too
Okay.
well.
I told the story in Castle Rock, and I told the story in Kalama, which is actually, I came last Sunday by mistake.
And you're
I,
talking about our churches.
yes, I'm talking
Yes.
about Kalama United Methodist Church when I came to Kalama by mistake instead of going to Longview. And I convinced you. You see, that's what confusion is about. I was convinced that I need to share the message about eggs in Kalama with Kalama members. So I will kind of save this story for later time for Longview and Rainier, I promise. But today, if you hear us, let us share with you some intimacy and some very funny stories, but not as funny when they happen to us. So, do you want to tell the story, or you want me to tell the story? What happened and when?
Oh my goodness. Well, so I don't know how far back to go with it, but I learned early on in our relationship that when you are done, when you've cracked an egg and you put it in the skillet or however you're going to prepare it, that you should take that eggshell and crush it
Yes,
before you throw it in the trash.
correct. And why?
Okay. Why? Well, because that's just what you do. It's Russian tradition. And I've
Right.
learned so many wonderful Russian traditions.
Correct, correct. And you follow them really well. Sometimes I don't remember to do something
Mhm,
like sitting
mhm.
down before the road, before leaving the house on a trip. You always say, Lydia, we need to sit down.
And a
But,
moment of silence, right?
right,
And,
right.
uh-huh.
And the older woman of the house needs to say, go with God.
Zbogom.
So the older woman in the house back then was my mother.
Yes.
And when you and I got married, so I will give a little history. When you and I got married, and you started cooking our very first breakfast in the kitchen.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, and I watched you, and you cracked one egg, and you stuck it back in a carton, kind of one half of the eggshell into the other. My hair just rose. I kept silence first, of course, because Oriental women sort of we are silent, silent. Mm-mm. So I'm sitting and keeping silence, watching you in horror. And the reason for that is you do not put eggshells back into the refrigerator, which obviously I thought this is what you plan to do. Salmonella. I thought, my gosh, salmonella. But then I watched you and you continued. You crushed another egg and you stuck eggshells halves together, put them back in a carton. And then you did the same with the third and the fourth. Two eggs for each. I finally stopped being silent and I said, Scott, you cannot do that. Why can't I? And I said, my mother taught me when I was a little girl that you cannot throw out eggshells when they are not crushed. You got offended, your face changed, and we kind of had a very cold temperature, not because of the food was cold, but because you and I had a little difficulty. And ever since it continued, right? You did not change your ways. And every time you cooked breakfast, I tried not to watch, but you would stack your eggshells up again and not crush them when you throw them out. And every time I would say, my mother, and you probably like, oh, my mother, this story is my mother. And trust me, it was so horrible for me for the reason. My mother told me that if you do not crush your eggshells, that is a bad luck. Something bad would happen. And we just got married. What that meant to me, it meant one thing, right? Our
Right.
marriage is ruined. So ever since, for as long as it took for mom to come and live with us, we walked on eggshells. Remember that? We
Mhm.
tried not to talk about eggs. We tried not to talk about crushing eggshells because you continue doing what you've been doing. Remember that?
Ay, ay, ay.
Why didn't you change? That would be so much easier.
Why should I change?
Well, what happened was I adjusted and I swallowed, and I knew that all the curses in the world were above our heads. And you told me a very funny thing. You said that, well, you Russians are so superstitious. You see,
Yeah.
this is how it starts. It starts off first arguing, then it moves into resentment, and then many marriages just crash over those eggshells, in a different way. Of course, it's a metaphor in our
Yes.
family,
Right,
became.
right.
But how many marriages are crashed because people cannot find the middle ground? So one of the couples, one of the spouses, should, in a way, swallow or find a compromise. So tell more about it.
Oh, goodness. Well, when things got really interesting, and maybe you should tell it, but one day it came up. Mom was there at the house, and mom lived with us for like 10 years. And You tell, because I'm not telling it right.
Why not? You're telling it exactly
The
right.
moment
But
of
okay.
truth. The moment of
Okay,
truth.
so yeah, very true what you're saying. So Mama moved in, and
Right.
I thought, thank God. I just crossed my chest. Thank God, in the Russian way, we do that. I said, now we will make it all right. So finally, the bad luck will go away. And so here you're making eggs. Mama is sitting and watching and just smiling. And I don't see any tension on her face. Because if it was me and I did not crush eggs, the next will be Lydia. Remember, I told you, you have to crush your eggs before you put them in a trash can. Silence. She just talks, she laughs, smiles, and finally I just says, Mother, tell Scott that he needs to crush the eggshells before he puts them in the trash can. And Mama says, why?
Oh, yeah.
I said, what do you mean, why? You taught me when I was a little girl and when I was a young woman. And when you visited us, it was always about crushing the eggshells. And guess what? My mother said, I never said that. It blew my mind. And I thought, sure, you
Yeah.
love Scott more than you love your own daughter. That's what it was, right?
I definitely was her favorite son-in-law.
That's absolutely true. No, she loved John Gibson too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Of course.
of course, she loves both of you. But yes, when she lived with us, it was you, of course, because you cooked for her, you joked with her,
Yeah.
you always lifted up her mood. That's for sure. You have the gift. You sang to her. You played
Oh,
guitar to
yes.
her. Yes.
Right.
How would she
Right.
not love you? And why would she tell you to crush the eggshells? I was for that. So, second chance. You see, we got a second chance. And the funniest thing, after working on all these eggshells and everything, the funniest thing was that kind of found it okay not to crush eggshells. I just thought, big deal. I'm not superstitious anymore. I grew.
Mm.
I'm above that. And guess what? When I make breakfast and when I throw out halves of eggshells, I hear you telling me, Lydia, remember what your mother taught you. And I knew what was coming, that I have to crush the eggshells. That is just like the whole circle, coming back to the beginning.
Now, who is crushing eggshells today?
You,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You
It's just
started
in-
doing it
Yeah.
more
It's
absolutely religiously.
Yeah.
It is no
It's
question. I don't.
ingrained.
Yeah, I don't do that, but
Uh-huh.
you do. And so
And it's
after you told me, then I started crushing them too.
Oh, goodness. It's ingrained, but I don't think of it in terms of, oh, if I don't do this, it'll be bad luck. I'm not remotely superstitious, but I still crush the eggshells.
That's funny. And I think it's just so sweet and so cute. But yes, tradition. So, tradition in every family. And when two people get together, two partners, then both traditions, both families bring their past, their beliefs.
Mhm.
And so, this is Easter. And so, I came to our family with this tension around Easter, that it's not here yet. And whatever you do, you could color eggs, you could bake the cake, but I would just, in my mind, I would eat it, enjoy it, and say, Christ is risen. But in my mind, I will have another one. I just cannot change that. But that's what I think today we are talking about: compromising, learning to live together, laugh at our differences better than arguing, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
And your family has different traditions too,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So,
No, that's true.
so can you say a little?
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think of some of our traditions. Of
I
course,
know that
haven't-
for you. Go ahead, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You're doing fine.
Like, for example, I know that your sister Peg took your dad for Easter to get his hair cut, and
Right,
he's
right.
94, and have lunch. That's a tradition in your family. I've
Oh,
learned that you, and many families do that. They have Easter lunch or brunch, right?
sure.
Okay,
And
so
in our case, in that case, dad is now in a care center, and
yeah,
mom is gone, and uh, the only way he's going to have any kind of Easter celebration is if we come to him and bring it to him, or take him out.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Good, that's wonderful. And it's very caring, and many families do that.
Yeah.
It is important. So, and that's what is important for Easter, especially if we as pastors have elderly members who live
Mhm.
in facilities like this. I know that we have people who want to take communion to their parents, so that's what we plan to do after Easter. But so, why did I come up with this topic today and put you in a spot?
Hmm.
I will tell you why. Maybe you have an idea.
No, no, no. Go ahead because you're creative.
Sure, it's like you're not creative. I even told Kalama church members, Kalama United Methodist Church, when they asked me, "Am I going to share the stories about eggs on Tuesday?" And I said, "I will." But Scott has no idea. And I said, "We never share our stories for sermons with each other prior to Sunday." And they were very surprised.
Hmm.
But I said, "Otherwise, Scott will steal my story."
Oh, oh.
Of course not. Of course not. But I
No.
just found it so funny because it's, you know, how we can we actually get inspired from each other,
Oh,
and
sure. Yeah, oh,
sometimes it
absolutely.
just slips. Yeah. So I
Right.
try always watch my mouth to not share your stories.
Well,
Um,
you feel kind of a sense of ownership of your story, right?
right? It's a
Um,
cute story. I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
good story.
Well, so the funniest thing was when I called my sister Irina and I told her about she and her husband John asked me what did I speak about, and I told the story. To my surprise, my sister said, "I don't remember. Mama told us that." And I just like, oh
Oh
no, I'm the
no!
only one who carries this heavy teaching.
Oh
She
no! Oh no!
somehow avoided that. So, but it was
Um,
me. But I was the one who, watched. I don't think that I cooked. Irina actually made for me eggs when I was little. She even made like
hmm.
little faces and just whatever she made. Oh, but she's a little older than me, so she was caring for me. My dog is here, getting attention. So
In
um,
case you see a charcoal covered tail
yes,
pass
that's
through the
Luna.
background there,
Luna is
right?
here. Yes, she probably wants to get out. So the reason I started saying why I brought up this confusion and disagreements and criticism and confusion mostly, of course, and walking on eggshells for the reason that in many families, people have different reasons to not appreciate each other, maybe, or look critically at another person. And recently, I've read a very interesting story about John Lennon.
Hmm.
And if you remember his song, Imagine,
Yeah.
could you sing it? Imagine there is no heaven. You remember?
You're doing great.
No, 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 let's do it.
Let me find the lyrics here real quick
Uh,
on the computer.
okay, while you're doing that, the reason I just got inspired when at Longview I spoke about Imagine, and then Matt, the piano player, he immediately by ear he started playing it on the piano, and the whole congregation joined in. And I think you froze, dear. So while you're doing that, yeah, did you find the lyrics? So
I
the
did.
whole church sang, "Imagine there is
There's
no
no
heaven."
heaven.
Okay.
It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky.
Ooh, ooh, yes.
Ooh.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story. And why did it get my attention? Because I always thought it's a John Lennon's song. And suddenly, what I've read was absolutely stunning. And I respect John Lennon. but this made me respect him even more. So what he said, first the song was issued by his name, he's the author, and later he started thinking about who influenced this song, composition, and the lyrics. And so finally, he says, this song I need to credit to my wife, Yoko Ono. And why? Because she had a book where she was talking, all this language was about Imagine. And so originally the song was not credited to Yoko
Mm.
Ono, but he even said this line, the song should really be credited to Yoko. A lot if came from her ideas. But I
Mm.
was a bit more selfish, a bit more macho, and I did not give her the credit. I just kind of picked up on that word macho. And you know why? Can you get back to the studio? Okay. So I picked up on that word macho he used against, toward himself, actually.
Mm.
So, what does this word mean for modern culture? Because as a result, Yoka received the credit in 2018 officially that she
Oh
is a
my.
co-author.
Mhm.
Imagine what he did. That's just wonderful. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about that? You're a musician, you play music, and how many arguments can happen over not giving the credit to the song, right?
Sure.
So,
Sure. Sure.
imagine how big it was of John Lennon to admit that he actually used ideas that came from his wife.
Yeah. He was acting like many stars do, whether that's a musician or even a boss that takes credit for the employee's work, and the employee gets nothing out of it, but the boss gets the promotion or gets the gets the bonus. It's a very self-serving approach, and it clearly indicates that person doesn't have a lot of humility. But to John Lennon's credit, he had a moment of, I guess, introspection and conscience, and decided that he needed to come clean about the uh, who, who had participated in the authorship of the song.
Yeah, but you see, she had a book that was called Grapefruit. And this is actually where this whole language and all the ideas and images were already in the book, came from her. And imagine when you create something and you get excited, like we people get excited over certain ideas or traditions in the family, right? Or at work.
Mhm.
And then we start arguing. And look at the world, what happens around. This is where I'm going. How we are avoiding to admit our mistakes, how we argue and we stand our ground, even when we look ridiculous and everybody knows that this is not true, but we continue pushing that because we don't want to put ourselves down. What we do not understand in this world, Scott, tell me if I'm right, because this really breaks my heart when I see so much lies and so much corruption in the world, everywhere, everywhere.
Mhm.
And people just look into the camera like what you and I are looking now, and they say lies. It's just like turn it off. If
Sure.
you cannot
Sure.
say the truth, do not get on the camera. That's what my passion is. But we are selfish, and instead of confession, instead of a mission, instead of making things right, like John Lennon did, and I intentionally bring him because, first of all, he's dead. He's dead. He cannot defend himself, you would say. But I'm talking about John Lennon because people know the name.
Right.
And
Right.
not because it is safe. And no, don't take me wrong. It's not that I use John Lennon's example because it's safe and I cannot address to the names that we hear and see every day on TV. But I hope all these people who are ready to speak, some kind of mechanism clicks in the brain, just like it did in John Lennon, and they would start speaking the truth.
Mhm.
I know what will happen in the world when people start saying the truth.
Oh my goodness. It's funny that you mentioned that, but I saw something on social media just the other day about uh, which industries would collapse if 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 it became impossible for participants in the industry to lie. Imagine if it just in a moment it became impossible to lie. What would happen?
Well, we all know that even children lie. We all
Mhm.
understand. It's a survival mechanism. And children do that because they're growing and they're trying their boundaries with parents.
Sure,
But
sure.
as adults, goodness gracious, imagine John Lennon could just die with that untruth and nobody would ever challenge. But
Right.
imagine their relationship with each other, and
Sure.
that silence was like you and I with over those eggshells. When I just like, well, I just have to swallow this, the truth of my family, of
Right.
my tradition, and
Uh-huh.
my learning as a little girl. And you probably could just continue, right? Mama somehow, my mother found a way to just take it away. And you, I have to give you a credit today, dear. I'm not John Lennon, but I will give you a credit maybe later that you, instead of like, hoo hoo, I'm a macho man, I just can do whatever I want, you instead did the opposite. You
Mhm.
adjusted to mother's teaching, you adjusted to her humor, and you started doing that. And that brought peace into eternity. I mean, in the whole universe, because we just remember our past laughing. Uh, Not at that moment, right?
No, no.
Yeah. But this is what life is. It is uncomfortable to tell the truth, but in the end, we learn something about ourselves, about capacity to tell the truth and handle the truth.
Right.
Because if we tell the truth, then when people tell us the truth about us, then think about it. What happens? Then we have to not only tolerate it, but take it with the dose of self criticism.
Mhm.
So that's what I think the reason in the world that we have so much lies, that people do not develop the skill that is called critical thinking.
Mhm.
Critical thinking applies to, first of all, ourselves. And yesterday, you and I watched a great series,
Yep.
The Closer. And in that episode, remember what was happening? The character, the woman, detective who closes all these very complicated, um, unresolved cases that nobody
Yep.
can resolve, she comes and she closes them. And she ran into a problem with the two FBI, very big bosses, and they wanted to remove her from her position. So she
Right.
was facing involuntary retirement or simply being fired.
Yep.
And so she has a chance to come. She was asked to come and apologize to them.
Oh, yes.
Kind
Yep.
of this way, she keeps the job. And so her boss is there and he smiles and kind of encourages her. And she enters and she's very nervous, but smiles. And she says, I came to say how sorry I am. Remember? Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember the
Yep.
dialogue?
I don't remember the exact words that she used, but
So
it was impressive.
okay, but so the essence of the problem was that she told a female FBI high level person that she is completely incompetent and she better steps away when the investigation goes. And she said to another high level deputy, whatever his position was, that he does not have emotional intelligence and he also needs to step away. So imagine what she says in that critical moment for her career. She prepared herself to be fired. So
Yeah.
she said, I'm so sorry that I told you not enough about your incompetence. And so essentially she repeats what she says, but even more, I would say brutal. Brutal honesty with a smile, not mocking, but simply putting her criticism into even better words. Because in a moment she probably just kind of spilled it out. Here she formulated it so well that the woman just like her face changed and she heard this truth about herself. And then she turned to the gentleman and she said what she thought of him. And then she thanked them again. She apologized that she had to say this truth to their faces and left. And imagine this pregnant silence in the room.
Oh, yes.
And what do you expect? She came to her office, closed the blinds that nobody sees her. And in the end, all her subordinates, her team, resigned. If she is fired, they resign. You see, that's what it takes us all. I had a great conversation in Castle Rock about corruption in the world and how God allows evil people to be in power. And we talked at length about it. I would love to talk longer about it. But you see what happens here? In this particular episode, there are two important layers. First of all, that she insisted on the truth that she said. How unpleasant it was for the people who heard it, how dangerous it was for her career. She did not give in. She did not apologize for saying the truth. She actually amplified it. And then her employees, her team, they all did not hide like scared animals. Instead, they decided, we do not want this career. If the truthful person needs to be fired for telling the truth. And that's what it is. I'm just so happy that when people find the courage to speak up, yes, it's not safe, but fear is domineering our lives. We do not tell the truth anywhere practically. So telling the truth is costly. Do you think it is?
I'm reminded, Lydia, that of when God decided to give us 10 commandments to order society and order our lives, one of those 10 commandments was about not bearing false witness.
Yes. Where is that commandment now?
Oh, it's taken as advice and not commandment.
Yeah. So then advice and why? And this is you're talking about Christian people. But this nation is but how many Christians are in the United States?
Oh goodness. It depends on how you count them, but probably 100 million people.
Yes, you see. But we also have people of other religions, right? But the funniest thing is that Christians, first of all, many of them do not tell the truth. But also, how many examples you and I saw when our friends Muslims and the Hindus or atheists, they were more honest and more sticking to the truth when it was dangerous for them, and how much respect we have for those people. So both Christians and non-Christians are keeping the truth, majority of them. But it is this next step is not only to tell the truth, but also to stand up for the truth.
Sure.
Which is now in this time is much harder. And that's why I brought up example of John Lennon. Because otherwise, in many cases, we act like my mom, who in this critical moment when I asked her to criticize you, to tell the truth, she did not. Because of her sympathy, her love for you. And that's what we do, you see, not criticizing my mom. She actually saved our marriage, and we stopped working on those eggshells, right?
Yes,
like this.
Yes.
But to be honest, people walk on eggshells everywhere, at workplaces, in churches, in communities, everywhere.
Sure.
And now, of course, it's just you cannot open your mouth in the airport. You cannot open your mouth in a restaurant. You just kind of have to weigh your options. But if still it comes to those who, to begin with, do not tell the truth, how important it is to admit it, and also to make amends,
Sure.
make it right, and then ask for forgiveness, but in the right way, and then move on in the right way, never doing it again. So that's why you and I are pastors, right? And it's hard to preach the truth these days, but we have to. We have to, and we have to help other people to see, find the ways how to do that. But back to the marriages and relationships and communities. Yes, sometimes we goof up and we make horrible mistakes. Horrible. Instead of hiding it, instead of trying to kind of, um, next time I will do better. No, you have to go back and you have to make it right. Then you have a second chance. You see, you get
Right.
another chance, even with the person you hurt horribly.
Yeah.
But if it is a sincere apology, confession, you see, that's where we are mixing the definitions of the words. Tell me the difference. If I
Between
say
which
I'm
words?
sorry, yeah, if I say I'm sorry, is it not count?
Well, I think your words would have more weight if I knew that the confession was honest, and you really had, and I could expect that you wouldn't return to that behavior or speak in a certain way or tell a lie. But I think we often have a sense when someone apologizes and you don't sense sincerity or depth to it. It's, maybe just a duty phrase. They,
Yes,
yeah.
good. Duty phrase. Thank you. Because what happens in children, I've learned now from my children how they teach children to never say I'm sorry. At first, it
Mm,
shocked me, but then I realized instead what they say, how can I make it better? You see, if
mhm.
I hurt you, instead of I'm sorry, how often do we say that? But instead, I should say, Scott, how can I make it better? But a little theory here before we complete our time together on this podcast is that the difference is between apology. Yes, you're right. It should be sincere and it should be from the heart. But since we so often to say I'm sorry, people just like it's a duty phrase, like you said.
Mhm.
So instead, you have to take time first of all to process what you've done.
Right.
Take time and then confess. You see, that's the difference. Confession.
Mhm.
And then only next step is to never do it again. You see,
Mhm.
that still comes to you. So you make amends, but you never repeat it ever. So then it's believable. So next time when you say, even I'm sorry, or how can I make you better, another person will believe and have trust in you. You will never do it again.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that's the difference.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, I'm sorry, it's cheap, it's nothing. So that's why in this world, we look at our leaders and we don't know what to believe. And that's why we do not believe in this I'm sorry's. And all we see is lots of misdoing in the world. And to correct that, our leaders need to show us example of confessing and beginning telling the truth. So coping life talk became coping life, becoming. You see,
Yes.
it's not the coping every day, but becoming a new person. That's a transformation that we preach, right? You and I.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Transformation is very hard, but like Apostle said that you have to work your salvation every day, the
Yeah.
hard way. So transformation comes from your values and then returning to your values if you fell off.
Mhm.
So that's what
Mhm.
we believe in
Right.
the second chance. Do you believe in the second chance?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we did not miss Easter this time, did we?
No, we didn't.
Oh, we're going to celebrate it again, and we will color
Woohoo!
the eggs, and I
With
will
colored eggs.
bake. I promise you will have an Easter cake. And I
Please.
invite everybody. Next Tuesday, we will have another episode with us. We will talk more about the topics that come during the week.
Yes.
And please tell us about your questions. What our conversation may be stirred up in your heart. We will be happy to know. Send us your questions, and we will definitely talk about them and try to wrestle with answers together, because neither you, Scott, nor I have all the answers. No.
Definitely not.
But also, once in a while, we will have a special guest on Thursday at 6 p.m. So we have a few people that we have already on the list that will be our guests. But if you have a story and you want to share with us, please send us your short story to us, and also your email address, a phone number that we can invite you. Again, we are Lydia and Scott. We did not miss Easter, and we welcome you to our CoPing with the capital P. And we go live every Tuesday at 6. And when else, Scott? On Thursday, once in a
Oh,
while.
well, yes, Thursday, but what time?
6 p.m.
Also 6 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's again remember John Lennon and his song Imagine. Imagine there is no heaven, right?
Yep. That's how it
Yes, but
goes.
so let's build it on earth. Let's begin with telling the truth. Let's begin with amending ourselves and relationship, but also making it right. And then finding the way to build this heaven on earth. Let's get rid of this darkness around us. God bless you, and you just simply have a good day, Scott. Say a goodbye to our viewers.
It's been wonderful to have you with us, and we look forward to visiting with you again.
Yeah,
Bye-bye now.
goodbye. See you next Tuesday.